Upbeat, engaging music starts and fades slightly into the background. Hello, history lovers, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're embarking on an epic journey through nearly 1,000 years of Korean history. We'll start around the year 1000, a golden age for one dynasty, and travel all the way to 1920, a time of immense struggle and change. So, grab your virtual passport, because we're about to dive deep into the heart of the Korean peninsula. Let's rewind to the year 1000. The Goryeo Dynasty is in full swing. This period was a true renaissance for Korea. Imagine a kingdom buzzing with innovation. It was during Goryeo that the world's first movable metal type printing was invented, a revolutionary technology developed long before Gutenberg in Europe. This wasn't just a tech hub, it was a center of art and culture. The exquisite Celadon pottery, with its distinct jade green glaze, was prized across Asia. Artisans developed a unique inlay technique called sangam, creating intricate designs that are still breathtaking today. But Goryeo was also a land of faith and conflict. Buddhism was the state religion, and magnificent temples dotted the landscape, the Tripitaka Koreana, a massive collection of Buddhist scriptures carved onto more than 80,000 woodblocks, was created during this time, an incredible feat of devotion and craftsmanship, undertaken to protect the nation through spiritual power. However, this peace was often threatened. For decades, Goryeo faced relentless invasions from the Khitans to the north, and later, the formidable Mongol Empire. These wars were devastating, but they also forged a powerful sense of Korean identity and resilience. The Goryeo court eventually had to submit to Mongol rule, but they cleverly maintained a degree of autonomy, a testament to their diplomatic skill. By the late 14th century, Goryeo was weakening from internal corruption and external pressures. A powerful general named Gojoseon saw an opportunity. In 1392, he seized power and established a new dynasty, Joseon. This would become one of the longest-ruling Confucian dynasties in world history, lasting over 500 years. The capital was moved to Hanyang, which we now know as Seoul, and a new era began. Joseon society was structured around Neo-Confucianism. This philosophy influenced everything, from government and law to family relationships and social etiquette. It emphasized education, filial piety, and a strict social hierarchy. At the top was the king, followed by the scholar officials, or yangban, who earned their positions by passing grueling civil service exams. It was a society that deeply valued knowledge and literature. One of Joseon's most celebrated rulers was King Sejong the Great, who reigned in the 15th century. He was a true visionary. Concerned that Chinese characters were too difficult for common people to learn, he commissioned scholars to create a new, simple, and scientific writing system. The result was Hangul, the Korean alphabet. It was so easy to learn that it was said a wise man could learn it in a morning, and even a fool could learn it in 10 days. Hangul was a monumental gift to the Korean people, dramatically increasing literacy and becoming a cornerstone of Korean culture. But the Joseon dynasty also faced its share of crises. In the late 16th century, Japan, under the ambitious leader Toyotomi Hideyoshi, launched two massive invasions. The Imjin War was brutal and destructive, ravaging the peninsula. But it also gave rise to one of Korea's greatest heroes, Admiral Yi Sun-sin. With his legendary turtle ships, ironclad warships that were technologically ahead of their time, Admiral Yi achieved a series of miraculous naval victories against a much larger Japanese fleet, his strategic genius, and unwavering courage are still celebrated in Korea today. After surviving the Japanese invasions and later invasions by the Mongols, Gojoseon entered a long period of relative isolation. For about 2 centuries, Korea deliberately limited its contact with the outside world, earning the nickname the Hermit Kingdom. This policy was meant to protect its culture and sovereignty from foreign influence. During this time, a practical school of thought called Silhuk, or practical learning, emerged, advocating for reforms in agriculture, science, and governance to improve the lives of the common people. This self-imposed isolation couldn't last forever. By the mid-19th century, the tides of global imperialism were crashing against Korea's shores. Western powers, including France and the United States, sent naval expeditions to try and force Korea to open its ports for trade. Internally, the country was struggling with peasant rebellions and political factionalism. The pressure was mounting from all sides. It was neighboring Japan, now rapidly modernized after the Meiji Restoration, that ultimately forced Korea open. Starting with the Treaty of Ganghwa in 1876, Japan began to exert increasing influence over the Korean peninsula. This period was marked by intense competition between Japan, China, and Russia, all vying for control over Korea. The Korean court was deeply divided between pro-reform groups who wanted to modernize and conservative factions who resisted foreign influence. This struggle culminated in the First Sino-Japanese War and the Russo-Japanese War. Both fought largely over influence in Korea. Japan's victories in these conflicts solidified its dominance. The Korean people resisted fiercely. The righteous armies, or Yubyong, were civilian militias that rose up to fight against foreign encroachment, demonstrating incredible patriotism in the face of overwhelming odds. Despite their bravery, the tide of history was against them. In 1905, Japan forced Korea to become a protectorate, stripping it of its diplomatic sovereignty. The Emperor Gojong sent secret envoys to the Hague Peace Conference in 1907 to plead for international assistance, but they were ignored by the world powers. The situation grew more desperate. Finally, in 1910, Japan formally annexed Korea, beginning a 35-year period of colonial rule. This era, which started just before our 1920 cutoff, was one of the darkest in Korean history. The Japanese colonial government suppressed Korean culture, forced the use of the Japanese language, and exploited the country's resources and people. But the Korean spirit of resistance was not extinguished. On March 1, 1919, one of the earliest and most significant demonstrations of public resistance erupted across the country. Millions of Koreans participated in peaceful protests, demanding independence, although the movement was brutally suppressed. It showed the world the unwavering desire of the Korean people for freedom and laid the groundwork for the future independence movement. And that brings us to 1920. From the cultural heights of Goryeo to the scholarly ideals of Gojoseon, through devastating invasions and periods of isolation, to the painful loss of sovereignty, the Korean peninsula underwent a profound and often turbulent transformation. This nearly 1,000-year journey is a powerful story of resilience, innovation, and an unbreakable national spirit that would continue to fight for its identity and freedom in the decades to come. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible historical odyssey. I hope you found it as fascinating as I do. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the past. Let me know in the comments which part of Korean history you found most interesting. Until next time, stay curious.